Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal Podcast. My name is Shawn Ellis, and I am your host tonight. We have a great group of people on here tonight. They are from serial killers, supernatural, and murderers. And tonight we will be talking with them a little bit about everything. So let me bring on our guests. The first one we will bring on is Ms. Lee Brown. How you doing, Lee?
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me on, Shawn.
Thank you for coming. Next, we'll bring on Ms. Gwen Johns. Hello, Gwen.
Hey, everybody.
And then we'll bring on Mr.
Blaine Brohan.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
And last but not least, Thomas Patrick Wormley. How you doing, Thomas?
Thomas.
Good. Had a little technical difficulty, so I had to go to the old laptop off the phone. So.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't have any issues because my internet went out and I'm at a different location tonight. So hopefully we don't have any issues tonight. So, but yeah, I've been watching you guys' show with supernatural killers or serial killers, supernatural and murderers. And it's quite interesting. I have to say, I mean, I sit there and listen to you guys and how you guys come up with the stuff you do and you do the research on it. I think it's pretty amazing. I mean, some of the stuff I've heard you guys say, I wasn't even aware of. So I learned something new.
Oh, sweet. That's good. We've had a lot of comments about our show. Of course, the entertainment value and educational value is very important, but a lot of people are more aware of what serial killers and murderers look like. How, honestly, it's just a random act of violence most time. Bad place, wrong time, And so I just really feel like, we're doing this for a reason. If we save a life, if we help someone that is a serial killer to understand, you've got to stop yourself, go turn yourself in. We understand what's happening to you and you're sick. You need some help and you need to stop hurting people. Yeah. So, because we talk a lot about the victim, not about the murderer itself. We talk about all of the aspects.
Right. And that's pretty awesome in the fact that you do that. We have Miss Pam Harris in the house right now. She's Serene Divine, and I co-host with her on occasions. So she is in the house right now. Nice. So let's start with the ladies first. We'll start with Lee. How did you get involved with stuff like this?
Well, I'm very deeply involved with the supernatural, but honestly, my one career goal that I really missed the opportunity. I wanted to be an FBI agent. And so I actually was going to school with a girl that went on to become an FBI agent. And I've worked with SLED on several cases, trying to find missing people and solving different crimes. And I had a really incredible experience with the Canadian Mounties. And I don't know, it just sort of rolled into it as part of the supernatural because we are talking about very traumatic events. And oftentimes we're talking about the dead, and how they died. And it's even in the Bible that when blood is spilled and it's an unjust death, that the blood will cry up from the earth. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why we're dealing with so much supernatural when it comes to things like this.
Right. Gwen, what about you?
How to get started?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I denied things for so long that I saw for many, many, many years. And then I took a class. And guess who taught the class? Lee and Matt. So, and then, now she's my bestie. And here we all are on the network. So,
well, you're also a paramedic retired. And you dealt with these cases face to face.
Oh, yes. Many times.
So, yeah. I feel like it was a familiar ground for her.
It was. I just needed to accept it and do something about it. And I did. So.
We have Michelle Osborne in the house. Thanks for stopping by.
Hi, Michelle.
Blaine.
Hey.
What about you?
Okay, me, I am an empath medium. I've been investigating the paranormal full-time since 1985, and I have a degree. I have a master's degree in psychology, a master's degree in history, and I wrote one of my master's theses for my master's degree for psychology on serial killers. And I actually did a deep profile of Charles Manson. And I've always been fascinated with why a serial killer does what they do. What mindset do they have? Why they do what they do? And why most of them enjoy what they do. And to me, just the brain part of it, I'm not really for all. I hate it for the victims that the serial killers had, but I want to know why they did what they did. And I want to help the victims of those serial killers, especially, I'll give you a prime example. When that terrorist roamed through New Orleans on New Year's Day and killed 15 people, I went to the spot where they were hit, and I transitioned all 14 souls because of the victimization that they still felt and the anger they felt and the scaredness. And I was led to get them crossed over, and I crossed them over.
That's awesome.
Like I said, if we can help anybody, victim-wise, victims' families, to help them get closure, that's why we do what we do with this show.
Yeah, that's awesome. Last but not least, Mr. Thomas Gormley. How did you get involved?
I've been involved in this for a long, long time. I've been involved with the paranormal since I was a teen. And it corresponds with each other, you know, the paranormal and true crime, serial killers. It's all that mystery. But I retired from the state of Florida. I was a law enforcement. I was a criminal behaviorist, and I profiled inmates in case something went off or anything like that. We used to have to read their mail to make sure nothing was going on. We had to interpret the way the words were. So with that, it became a passion of mine after my retirement to profile historic serial killers. And I happened to meet Lee up in Massachusetts, and we went over a case for me to help her out. And we just bonded very quickly. And then I got to meet the rest of the crew. And I don't want to say, I think I might've been the catalyst for the show, you know, just us talking before and say, hey, we got to do a whole show on this. And it's been taking off. I hear it's been getting good ratings, but again, like we said, we have to teach. We're teachers. All of us are teachers. We're teaching people that watch this, if they're parents, what to look out for with their children to keep this from possibly happening. You know, like I said, you could overparent or underparent. You know, there's no book on how to parent, but you have to be there for your kids and you have to be aware of what's going on. So we could try and avoid this in the long run and not have to deal with anybody that goes through those traumas to become this way.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, when you go through a traumatic experience like that, it does alter your way of thinking and your mind if you don't have the right guidance and the people around you to keep you on the right track. It can get very dark and demented, I guess would be a good word to say. And if you don't have those people around you to keep you on track, it could be very, very detrimental. I will definitely agree with that. We all got a question here right off the bat. Miss Pam Harris already asked one question to Lee and about teaching classes. And this was Lee's response here, if you did not see Pam. Also, we have another question by Pam here to Mr. Blaine. It says, Blaine, do you think every serial killer has a different kind of mental chemical imbalance?
Miss Pam, I sure do, because I think it has something to do with the brain structure. If you want to get technical into it, there are certain parts of the brain that serial killers have been noted by science that they do not have certain things in certain parts of their brain like normal people do. they have an abnormal amount of cells in the frontal lobe, and some doctors I've even thought that maybe that it was because of a head trauma as a child, but a lot of them know it's just a chemical imbalance. It's environment, it is nurture, it is nature that turn these people to what they do, and most of them have no remorse at what they do. They actually compete with other serial killers. They want to have a higher body count than the person before them had. And it's like a weird competition they have. It's like two football players that want to get the higher paycheck at the end of the year because, they thought they did better than the other guy did. Serial killers are no different. They go into it like they have a need and they have a want where they cannot stop themselves. And some of them do try, but they can't stop themselves. It's hardwired into their DNA, for one, why they do what they do. It's astonishing to me that as long as human race has been on, there's always been some sort of villain versus a hero. And they are nothing. They are just nothing but pure evil. And it just amazes me that you could want to do that to another human being and get your jollies off on it,
Exactly. We have Miss Marla Meacham in the house. She is part of my team for the Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal. She's in the house right now as well.
Hi, Miss Marla.
Hey.
We have another question by Miss Pam Harris already. And this is it. It says, Triana.
Lee. Yeah, just call me Lee.
Lee, can you explain what you teach and how does someone sign up?
Yeah. And I help teach the class too with her and Matt. So
here we go. I just sent her a message back. Okay, so I teach on various topics. We're talking about the classes at Piedmont Technical College. So, I see that she had asked me to explain and how to sign up. Okay, yeah. Right now, I have the classes listed on Eventbrite because Piedmont Technical College in Greenwood, South Carolina, there's a staffing change, and the lady that normally with adult education that puts the class on the website is no longer with the university or college, excuse me. So I'm waiting for them to get it connected. So I just put it on Eventbrite right now. But this class I'm teaching your psychic connection, and we're going to talk about how I think that it's going to be really interesting talking about how different religions and different cultures, belief systems affect the supernatural hauntings that they experience. And as a paranormal investigator or a psychic medium or a medium, what does it take to be able to connect with these, deceased family members and to help people? Because not everybody has the same belief system, and what they take in from a paranormal experience is very different. So, we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to, tap into a little bit of theology, of course, of different religions, but I think that's fascinating. And we are going to talk also a bit about cryptids because, they are connected to the supernatural world and are able to somewhat, if you see a spirit or like a spiritual apparition, or it doesn't have to be a person, like a human spirit. It could even be a nature spirit that's created naturally by nature, whether it's a seasonal creature or whether it's a cryptid. Shortly after, another thing will happen because they always follow each other because they're interdimensional. That's a topic that we will dig deeper into. And we'll discuss also epigenetics, which is the communication of biologically communicating with our descendants knowledge that we have. And it's been scientifically proven that this does exist. And when we say our children are smarter than they were when we were kids, it's true. It's very true. So I really feel like that affects the serial killer murderer side of the brain, because if there's a trait of either abuse or lack of feeling, or there's narcissism built into someone's personality, it's going to affect the offspring. Not just nature, but also the environment, the nurture, nature versus nurture. It's a little bit of both, a lot of both. So to break that pattern, it takes quite a lot. And we deal with spirits that were serial killers, whether we realize it or not. I've had several. One was a guy that raped and murdered a lady on a farm, and he was hung, and he was still living in the location. He didn't want to go to judgment. So he was just absolutely terrorizing the family that bought the farmhouse. So having to deal with him in spirit was no joke.
I have myself dealt with some pretty harsh spirits as well, so I understand exactly what you're talking about with that. We have Mr. Raymond Newsom in the house as well. Thanks for stopping in.
All right.
I'm going to ask a question to Thomas here that's kind of always had my interest, and maybe he can answer it best for me for the situation. You being a profiler, do you believe, or what is your theory on attachment and how people change in order to do what they do or become a killer? Do you think there is an attachment to them, or is it just something that's tragic that's happened in their life?
Well, a lot of it, the psychology of it, sometimes it could be supernatural, but in the case of the science behind it, a lot of the serial killers, they have a lot of trauma growing up. They go through being abused, anything like that, and that frames their mind. So as they get older, that's their thought. And a lot of times, like Blaine was saying earlier, the head injuries, the prefrontal cortex and all that, and how that affects, how your empathy is for other people and those types of things. But we always look at it. There's pattern in all serial killers from trauma and all that other stuff. But scientifically, we haven't pinpointed yet what the fingerprint is of serial killers or any murderers. What is that one thing that made their mind twist? We all have trauma growing up. We all go through it, but what makes one a serial killer over the other? That's the chase. It's just like the paranormal. You're never 100% right or wrong, but the mind of a serial killer, you're never right or wrong. There's a pattern, just like in the paranormal. That's why these intertwine so easily for all of us.
And what's funny too, Thomas, is like you could have a person that had a horrible traumatic thing growing up, or you could have a person that had a normal upbringing, family there, father and mother both still married, all that stuff, and they still turn into serial killers. So there is no definite thing, because you could be from the nurture or the nature, but you have serial killers that have experienced both. And that's what we want to try to figure out, why somebody that never had a traumatic experience, but they thrive, like Dennis Rader was one. He had no traumatic episodes his whole life, but he was a damn serial killer.
And that's where we miss. All right. You could be brought up perfectly fine. Like I was saying earlier, you could be overparented or underparented. All right. It's with our youth nowadays. Our youth learns that everybody gets a trophy.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to lose, when you get older and losing comes in, you don't know how to handle it. You don't have the presence of mind to get through that. All right. So that's kind of what I look at on that nowadays. Yeah. I know as Gen Xers and all that, we just left us out for our own devices, and we had to learn those things. But you have to, at a young age, you have to learn how to win and lose. Because if you don't,
I agree.
That could be traumatic for you too. And a lot of our friends, you get the young days, the little older kids in the neighborhood, hey, look at this magazine, and you look at it, and you haven't learned, the proper way of love and things like that, and what they show you the wrong way, and then your mind gets twisted too. Even though you're brought up right, you're introduced to some stuff in private with friends, and you don't develop, the proper way of treating, the opposite sex because of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Right.
the problem with Dennis Rader was, I think, with his sadomasochism and all that, and his wanting to look at detective magazines and those things back in the day, even though he's brought up right, but that twisted his mind. We look at that. There's a trauma or an unlearned or unhealthy way to learn will create those types of things also.
I definitely agree with that. And like you were talking about back in the day when we were in high school, all of us, it was the top 3 that got trophies or whatever the case may be, because you had to bust your butt, get out, work out, do what you had to do to be number 1. It wasn't just given to you for participation. You had to go out and earn it.
Yep.
And this generation that's come up now has no idea of what that means. That they've just given it for participation, which I think is totally wrong in itself as well.
I agree. Because what does it teach that child? It does not teach them how to deal with disappointment. It doesn't teach them how to be a better person. I know when I used to lose when I was a kid, I hated it. So it made me try 10 times harder. I know, okay, I wasn't fast enough or I couldn't throw for them. I went and made sure I could run faster. I could throw better. I could catch better. I improved myself because I didn't like that taste in my mouth of the defeat.
Mm-hmm.
So I made sure I went out there and busted my ass.
Exactly.
Well, I was one of those top 3 people who I earned that trophy. My dad,
Right.
when my dad probably would have hit the coach with a trophy if he tried to keep up.
Sorry, man. You are a trip, man. But he's right.
Yeah. Us growing up and all that, I think personally as humans, if we don't make a mistake or we don't lose sometimes, we don't have the ability to learn from it.
No.
And when you don't learn, you keep making the same mistake over and over again. I'm going to tell you one thing I always tell a lot of people when I give like motivational or anything like that. Einstein or Edison, when he was creating the light bulb, had to try over 10,000 times. He never quit. He learned something new each and every time until he got to that point. So until you make mistakes and learn how to, either let the mistake take hold of you and have problems or learn from it and make yourself better, whatever that better is. Not all of us are created the same, but you need to make your own individual self the best you could be. And that's what it comes from.
Exactly. Like you said, you got to be your best you. Yeah. You can't be the best. You can't be the best for Lee or Shane.
I think
it's going to be the best for you.
I think the fact of losing and being able to adapt on your own to make it to where you want to be number 1 is the motivation behind that. It lets you know that, yes, you're not number 1 at times, but if you want to be there, you have to earn it. You got to bust your butt to do it.
Yes, you do.
And I think a lot of people have lost that over the years in this last generation, like you said. And they don't know how to cope and deal with it. Like you said, they don't have that capability of doing that. So it gives them a whole different aspect and look on things compared to our generation as well.
Yeah.
So we've got John Mariner in the house. Thanks for stopping in.
Hi, John.
We have a
John.
question here. It's like, Thomas, do you do profiling for a living? That's my dream job, and I've always been weirdly fascinated with serial killers. Pretty sure I was an FBI agent in my past life, and that comes from Dobbins.
Probably. In a past life, I was Thomas Bond. So when we've talked about this, he's like the godfather of profiling. He's the one the doctor that profiled Jack the Ripper before profiling was a thing. Now, profiling is not a particular job, just so you know. It's part of a job. Being a criminal behaviorist, forensic psychologist, those types of things, it's just part of it and all that. It's part of what we do. It's like somebody gets fingerprinted or something like that. It's a fingerprint. We're profiling. It's a way of looking at information and looking at data. a lot of times people, they hear profiling. Oh, that's great. Back when I was doing it, I was looking at data all day and all that, trying to come up with stuff. It's a matter of a frame of mind, seeing patterns and trying to figure out, what the next move is for that particular person. And me working in the prison system, if anything happened in that prison, I want to figure out whoever's involved. I have to figure out how I'm going to calm that situation by the profile of the data that I've received from medical doctors or anybody that's dealt with these people in the dorms or anything like that. But it's the same out here, just outside of the prison. It's the same thing. People are all the same. A lot of them fit patterns, and you can pick up on it. And I wish it was a particular job, but it's just part of the job is what it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer, Pam, yes, Pam, I have worked with police several times. I'll give you a case that I worked about 2 years ago. This young lady disappeared from a gas station just northeast of here. Well, I picked up on the young lady strongly because she was, her spirit was very strong. And I kept getting the number 22 over and over and over again. And I finally saw there was a county highway 22. It was 2.2 miles from a church with the address was 2222 County Road. And they found her 22 feet off of the highway.
Wow.
And this is more. They stole her car and took it to Montgomery. They parked it in a apartment complex in spot 22.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was funny because I picked up so much the case. I just got interviewed by the police to make sure I wasn't the one that killed her. I called them because a good friend of mine works in the Montgomery Police Department. And I told him, said, look, dude, I'm picking up all this weird stuff on this girl. And he said, okay, what are you picking up? And I told him this, and this. I said, you can find that girl in the next county over, look for County Road 22, go 2.2 miles. There is a church on your left that is number 22 on County Road 22. I said, go 2.2 miles from the church, walk out in the field about 22 feet. She's laying there covered under leaves. And I actually got asked by them, how do you know this? I said, look, I'm an empath medium. Spirits tell me things. I said, for one, I would never hurt a soul because I cherish people and I want this family to get closure to find out what happened to her daughter. And so that's how I got that case. That was just one of probably 500 I've done on missing person cases. And I've been to probably 100 crime scenes over the years or more, walking through with police and tell them what I pick up on in the locations. Sometimes for people that are really squeamish, they don't want to hear a lot of stuff I have to say because I can't help it, but I go into details like they stabbed her 47 times, or look behind this chair or this couch and you'll find blood stains or blood spatter, or you'll find semen, or you'll find sweat, or you'll find something. And I guess I've been luckily that the Great Spirit saw to give me gifts like this, and I embrace them. But yeah, if I can help a family out, and I know it's hard. It's hard to tell a mother, okay, your daughter was stabbed 22 times, or and that your daughter suffered, and the men that did it laughed about it. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, they didn't laugh when they were caught. They all three cried. So,
yeah,
exactly.
It's so.
Go ahead, Thomas.
It's so important what Blaine's talking about. All of us are involved with the paranormal, but also what he's talking about. Our gifts help people have closure. Us talking about what we talked about helps people look out for stuff so they don't have to have that closure for a loved one. I've been doing this for a while, and a lot of people, it is weird because Blaine might have been blamed for that. my knowledge of serial killers, people look at me as like, geez, you must be a serial killer. You know so much, you know, and you get the same stuff. And again, I would never harm a fly. My main goal in life is I never want anybody to go through this. And,
yeah, you're right. We put ourselves in their mindset.
Yeah.
And actually, I myself, I will actually pick up on a serial killer's brain, and I will pick his brain till he won't let me do it no more. I try to find out every detail I can why this guy or woman is doing what they're doing, what thrill or pleasure they get out of hurting this many people, and would they like that done to their own family members? You know.
I'm from a totally different perspective than these two. I was a victim and was missing for 2 weeks. I have no idea how I survived or why, none whatsoever. I should be with the other people that died. I hope that I'm earning it. I hope there's a reason why I'm here. I certainly have done my best. But I try my best to use the energy of the brokenness that I had after what happened to me. I try to use that with in a spiritual manner with people that are deceased to take away some of that pain, because they spend so much time still trying to express how much pain they were in. And I can meet them with that and say, yeah, here's mine. Let's look at this. I'm with you.
Right.
I feel this pain. And you know, the saying of bearing your friend's burdens. Well, here I am, and I'm doing that. And somehow within that love and the desire to heal someone and help them, somehow it happens. Somehow. And because, see, first of all, I'm Native American, so I'm going to have a little different outlook on this, okay? But souls can get lost, okay? They can get all torn up in the mix of things, and eventually, it cannot be so great for them. The energy that they have coming from their existence when they're killed, it puts them in a very negative spin, and I don't want them to be caught in that negativity. And this is something I'm just going to state, and I hope you guys can handle it. But based on my belief system, there is a type of soul trade and soul possession. And these serial killers like to still control souls of people in their afterlife, and we have to free them. One situation in particular that's happened many times, Blaine, we did it several times in Alabama. Gwen, we've done it.
Yes.
Where there were, there's been situations. Yes, Thomas, we haven't had a chance to, but this coming, our time is going to come.
Yes, it is.
Yes. But where we're looking at people that were formerly slaves. I don't know if that's a technical way of saying it, but they were non-employed, non-paid workers.
Non-paid employees, or
there it is.
Indentured servitude. But
they're still under they're still possessed by the person.
They're still held under the thumb of that spirit. That spirit still controlled them in the afterlife.
Yes.
We've dealt with this, I don't know how many times, this is one of the things I get a lot of. I get a lot of pedophile spirits.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. Lord have mercy.
Yes, you do.
I think the reason I get them because I know how to handle them, and I take their control away from them. I watch them suffer while I take those souls away from them, because now they are no longer in control. They have nothing to do.
I even mailed him one.
I still got him in my closet, and I'll tell you this.
I put him in a container and mailed his butt to Alabama to Blaine.
And I have my spirit guide animals, or a bear and a wolf. They love messing with bad souls. They go in there and mess with this doofus in my closet. I've got him just sitting in there, and about once every 3 or 4 days, they'll go in there and just rip him a new asshole. And then rip him another one. And then they'll let him till he gets to the point of begging. They'll do it again. Then they'll leave him for a couple of days and go back and do it again. The reason I do that, because of the souls that he tortured when he was alive and when he was dead. And plus the fact he told Lee that he was going to kill me and kill her husband and her kids. I said, you really want to play jackass? We'll play. I don't play fair.
Yeah.
Don't
I
threaten
agree.
my family, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I definitely agree on that. I sent you guys a video of one of my old investigations with a previous team I was on that had to deal with some instances of pedophile and serial killer stuff as well. And it was very intense and intriguing in the fact it was like a 12-hour investigation and how we handled it, because that spirit was still in there containing the other spirits of those children that he had got a hold of. And when we got rid of him,
that's the container right there, Shawn. He's holding it up.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. Sorry. I didn't know what that was.
I'm glad to show you that. It's like, yeah, he's getting his ass whooped right now. I just thought it'd be funny to put him on air.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Shawn. So you've sent us some footage. That's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, we've dealt with that in the past as well, with spirits keeping other spirits there and just living off their energy.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And until we got rid of it, and then they could cross over and do their thing, what they had to do, but they're gone now, so that's a good thing.
Hey, Shawn, can you show them the picture of where you took the attachment off with the energy? The really cool picture you've shown me. You have it?
I don't think I have it on my laptop. It's on my hard drive, and I didn't bring my hard drive with me tonight.
That's okay. I'll show it to you guys. It's very interesting.
Right on.
Yeah, if you can bring it up, go for it.
I'm gonna try.
I worked on a case. I'm sorry, Thomas.
Go ahead.
You're more knowledgeable about this. I was just going to throw out there. I worked on a case for a missing child, and I did connect with him, and I knew that he would be in a body of water, but it was near a bigger body of water, and it was dark, and they found him in a one of the big tubs, the barrels.
A drum?
Yeah, a big drum. He was in there, and it was beside the water at a dock. So I almost pinpointed I've tried really hard to pinpoint the spot, but he was young moved. And
he was moved. Remember?
Oh, he was definitely
moved. He was moved. And then there was also a young girl that was missing. Her mother had a lawsuit, and she was doing drugs. So when she got paid from the lawsuit, she sniffed the money right up her nose. And then her daughter was actually hit by a car, and she had a lawsuit, and she wanted her to give, I want the money. And the young girl was trying to go to college, and she actually was killed by her mother's boyfriend to take her money. And I found a big lock of her hair, and it was bloody because it had been pulled out. I found that by the railroad tracks, and I was able to put people on the right direction, and they did find her body. So thank God. I'll never forget that child. She kept saying, "Don't let Daddy see me like this." Yeah. And as long as her dad was looking, they weren't going to find her. So I had to go to him and tell him, "Can you please just wait 2 days? I can stay on standby. Give people a chance to find her, because she doesn't want you to see her this way."
Oh my goodness.
Because he had really messed up her hair, and she was known for her beautiful hair and her beauty. She's very young, 16, I believe, 15, about to turn 16. She was just driving with her restricted license, so whatever that is, 16. That case was in Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah, and this is what we're talking about. We never want parents to go through that.
Never.
Never. And that's why we do the show again. But the thing Blaine was talking about, and just these evil people that are in spirit now and all that, just so you guys know, and we'll talk, in the shaman world that we talk about, when you die, you die pure. But if you have that trauma still there, it becomes part of you, like a shadow that's attached to you. And there's been cases where people see, oh, this young boy and what he went through, but there's always a shadow lurking in the background. That's what's holding him back. You have to cut that cord. He's the one, that shadow's the one keeping that group. And then you have to separate that out.
Yes.
It's been seen. I've had it happen on an SLS camera where I'm trying to help a spirit pass, and you could see, the person I was working with doing the Estes method. You could see the person we were trying to help, and the shadow, which this guy was murdered. We think it might have been his trauma, not knowing, or the murderer keeping him from going.
Yeah.
And you have to try and detach it. It's showing up on, as soon as I say to it, if you want to leave, you have free will, you could go. And then he keeps asking for help. But once that shadow pops in, the voice through the recorder changes and starts swearing at us. It's a battle going on, and it's visually could happen too. But this is our lives. It just because, you know, I know the living is more monstrous, but even the dead, it's a different kind of way
complicated.
to communicate.
It is.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and like I said,
and you have to be an energy worker so you can separate the energies from the soul so that they can finally leave, because they can be bound by that energy, that negative energy.
It's a soul retrieval. You have to get them to remember.
Soul retrieval, yes. Now that's very advanced. This is advanced shamanic work. A lot of people don't even know this exists.
Well, a lot of people don't know. Like I
can I show y'all this picture?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And then we'll talk more about the.
Sorry, I found it. When Shawn showed it to me, it was just, you'll see why I think it's awesome. You ready? Yep. And Shawn, you're going to have to tell him the whole deal.
Alrighty. As soon as I say, this is where me and my Reiki master, she is the one in the background. She's holding a tuning fork. And my former team member had come across an attachment, and she kept acting funny, kept saying certain things. It just wasn't her after we've been on an investigation. And as you can see there, the SLS shows figures for me and the Reiki master. And I'm doing energy work over the top of my former teammate, and she has no SLS whatsoever. But if you blow up that picture, after the time we were sitting there pulling this out of her, there's a face up there in the wall behind the tuning fork. She's showing it. This is what we pulled out of her for what she got an attachment with. I have done several of those before with people and taken attachments away from people.
Us too.
And seeing things like that as well. And we've gotten rid of them. Those are the bad ones. And the reason why we kept thinking something was funny is she would keep popping up in our conversation on the phone, and she was wanting to beat everybody's butt. She was just wanting to fight all the time. And that's not like her. She's normally fun, joking, and everything else. But her whole mentality just changed. And after we took that out of her, she went back to normal.
So, Shane, I will tell you this. The female version that the SLS is on, if you look to it would be all right above her head, there's a hand it's flipping a bird off at you.
Mm-hmm.
Big long finger flipping a bird.
A lot of spirits doesn't like it when me and her come in, especially when I come in.
Oh, they hate
if
me.
we're there to clean out a house or cleanse a house, because they say they know what we're able to do.
Now, Shane, let me ask you this. When you go to a house, do you hear, oh shit, Shane's here?
I have heard that over.
I get to what the fuck is Blaine doing here? Oh, fuck.
I have heard that several times, and I've heard.
Dude, I think it's hilarious.
We don't like you. We don't want you here, and etc. And they know why we're there, because if they don't behave, we're going to make sure they leave.
I think my favorite thing is they said, you're supposed to be guarding the house. How did he get in? I'm like, I walked to the front door. Then they get shocked that I can hear them and see them. They're like, oh shit. He sees us in here as we're fucked. It's hilarious to me.
I've seen that. Remember when we cleared that one house years ago? Oh my God. And you know, I can tell you that when I met Thomas, we were in a place that was haunted. And when I would talk to him, I could tell the energy around the two of us was completely clear.
Oh yeah.
It was like being in a pool of clear water. As we went through, I don't know how else to explain it other than I see colors of energy. And this was like a crystal blue. and it was completely around us like a bubble.
Mhm.
And everybody else, there was a lot of gossiping because it was a conference, blah, 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 blah. And none of that was touching us. And we were having an intellectual conversation and we were completely at peace.
Yeah.
And I know that he developed that as a police officer and the things that he did, learning to handle these cases. I think it's one of the best shields I've ever seen, because it's not intimidating. You're not ready to fight when you feel it.
Mhm.
But it's I'm not going to be, it's like walking with authority. I'm not going to be upset by this, but you're not part of my life, and it's just an open shield, and it's really comforting. But I could see that going very different for a spirit that had a bad attitude. I knew he was a shaman,
You're right.
Thomas.
Yeah, you're right, because we're shamans, sensitive and all that. Now, the thing is a lot of people that get into the paranormal, we saw it on Ghost Adventures, they yell at the spirits.
Yeah, they want to make a
They're yelling, they're trying to intimidate. The thing is somebody like Blaine, like Lee, like Gwen, I don't have to yell.
I don't
your
either.
your energy presence is intimidating
Exactly.
enough. So that energy you bring in with that authority, especially when you're dealing with an evil entity of some sort, or just somebody that, like said, a serial killer that's passed, like Blake, they don't like me whatsoever.
Yeah.
And the thing is I don't know what it is, but when I walk in, my spirit guides put this gold circle around me, and I've had things be in my face, but they can't get close enough.
Yes, I can see that. I can see that, and they do respect your authority. It's almost like a religious symbol.
Yeah, it is.
Because of law enforcement, I can't explain it any better, but you still carry that shield even though you're not law enforcement.
Well, I can tell you this too with Thomas and all the rest of us, is that we have so many protective spirits around us because of our gifts. We don't walk in alone anywhere. We walk in tribes.
Right.
We walk in several. We're backed by tens of thousands or sometimes millions of other spirits that are there not only protect the people we're investigating, helping with, but any spirits that want to get out of line, they're more than welcome to take care of them for us, so we can walk in with an air of confidence.
Exactly.
Because what are you gonna do? You're gonna mess with me and the tribes that are behind me? Have fun, buddy.
It's great. It's great sometimes. I've been in places, and through my mind's eye, I could see some of my spirit guides in front of me. And then all of a sudden they disappear, and then they come back, and you're like, I felt something over there, but I don't feel anything over there anymore. It's almost like they cleared the room for you to really help somebody.
Lee's husband, Matt, got this spirit since we were in Alabama. We had a spirit that it was just being an ass. And I told him like 3 times, I said, you really want to play? And as soon as all I said was the word tribes, Matt said there was like thousands and thousands of tribes that just rushed past us into the house.
Yep.
I remember that. I think that a lot of people that are listening and watching are interested in how they can help police, law enforcement with missing people or help solve a murder. And if you don't mind, since these are things that we have been focusing on, do you mind if we talk about it a little bit?
Go for it.
All right. Is that all right with you, Shawn?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing I'd like to throw up is that lots of times when I have talked with law enforcement, it's because they are at a standstill. And they're looking for leads to follow. They don't want the case to be a cold case.
No.
And sometimes, what we have scientifically is not enough to solve a case, although we're a lot better off than we used to be, a lot better off. And the databases that are being created are helping us greatly when it comes to different types of shoe tread, different kinds of tire tread, how insects develop and the larva to this stage and that stage. And, there's just been so many things that have given us a new way of looking at things. Okay. But sometimes we still don't have a lead. And so, like what Blaine did with the number 22, and he was able to give them he gave them some seeds, some leads to follow. And then it started opening up. Whenever I found that lock of hair that still had the scalp, I'll never forget that poor child attached to it. This was in Colombia. This was a horrible case, but that gave them a lead because they thought she might still be alive. And when I found the amount of blood I did, and then that they knew, that it was a part of this train track, and it wasn't in the pond where we were initially. And everybody wants so badly to help these children or these people that sometimes you could go down a rabbit hole pretty quickly. So yeah, so I thought that would be one thing. And sometimes getting a fresh set of eyes on what's the word I'm looking for, something that might be overlooked.
Yeah.
If you're getting an image in your head and it's like, wait a minute, did you see a guitar anywhere or guitar strings? Was there anything like that or music for guitar? Wait a minute, at the scene, this one and that, who did that belong to? Did anybody play music? And then the next thing you know, they're looking into somebody that had been in and out of there. People didn't even know was there.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right, Lori. Lori's saying that police departments don't want to work with some people. That is true. However, sometimes you have to look at certain people that are more established in a case, that have a lot more of experience, that are facing a roadblock, because sometimes these cold cases can be broken based off of just a little bit of lead.
Yeah.
And also sometimes there's a scientific skepticism. I'm aware, because they'll say, no, that's not the case. We've got this and this. Could you look at that again? Can you just be patient and let's look at that again? And then they might find out that there was a thumbprint on top of a thumbprint, and it was leading to someone else, like somebody else pressed, like in the Charles Manson case, at that door, at that gate, the police officer hit the button and he put his thumb over the top of the thumbprint that would have broke the case wide open. Now we can separate them. We have science. We can do that. Just take the police officer's thumbprint, match it over it, and then just like removing the background in a picture now. But sometimes mentally that's the case.
Yeah.
And just looking at it a different way is the way to go. Sometimes you have to work with the family and not the police altogether. And if the police,
well,
okay,
it's important. You were talking. It is important working with the family, especially on a lot of these cases. So, and you get more of that. But what we talk about being shamans or anything, feeling what's going on, we all have frequency. Even the spirit world, we all have frequency.
Yeah.
Us as seers and all that, we follow that frequency. And when that frequency hooks us up, we tune in the radio to get those clues. We just have to find the right station, which is the right evidence that we get, that evidential type of medium side of things, or trying to communicate with the person we're trying to find. That's really how it works. We're all a frequency. It's about picking up frequency of another person, whether they be living or dead. Even if the person we're trying to find is dead, they're still giving off frequency to us.
Sure they do.
It's an SOS. Yeah, it's an SOS.
You think about this, okay? Scientifically, everything is energy. Energy never ends, never begins, it never goes away. So we're big energy fields. So energy is a frequency. That's what we do. We pick up on the energy frequency of that lost person, or that spirit, or even a human being sometimes.
Yeah. But that's even when we communicate. We're like the tower. We're the tower of light. We're that, the seers, us, like what we do. And when that frequency sent out, that SOS, they're going to find that closest tower, the one that's hearing at the moment, to help. They said, this person can help me. I'm going to their tower. And then we have that need to help. And that's what we do. So it's in my mind, we try and complicate things sometimes, but to me, it's simple. I'm a beacon of light.
Yeah.
What I do as a shaman, I help the living and I help the dead. That's it. It's completely done after that. Anything that happens around me, I love it. It's great. But my main focus is the living, to counsel them and the dead. They give me their frequency, why they might have passed, what their trauma is, what's holding them back, and then I communicate with them. And a lot of people say, oh, I sent them to the light. They're not going to the light, all right? I want to take that away from people. The light they see is when they first die.
Yep.
That flash of light that, oh my God, I'm dead. I'm separated from my body.
Right.
When you have somebody in trauma, to be able to help them, for my spirit guides, they tell the person, call my name.
Yeah.
It comes through the spirit box, my name, a divination device. It says my name. I know I need to help somebody. And that's what I do. But the thing is, I have to take that trauma, hear their story, and then I ask them, you have free will. I want you to picture yourself in the best moment of your life. What is that? And I had a spirit say, I love daisies. I said, I want you to picture you in a field of daisies. Yeah. And she did. She says, oh, I see the daisies. Oh, I see. She passes. She goes to the next plane.
Yeah, that's similar. Yeah. I tell them, I was like, what was the favorite thing you did? What was something that made you laugh? Or something that your kid did that just tickles you every time you think about it? Or something your kid did that pissed you off? It doesn't matter, because you can make it work from both ways.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. People complicate too many things. All we have to do is, in the spirit world, listen to their story. Hear it. Don't listen, because we could half listen, whatever. Hear it. Once you hear it, and you could bring that peace to them and show them a happy time, they'll leave. You know, we can't force people to leave. It's the same thing. I could tell you to quit smoking, and until you make that decision, it's the same thing with the dead. I could give them the right words and all that until they're comfortable, and we put them in a comfortable situation. Then they'll make that decision to pass on. But I don't make anything pass unless I really, it's agreement. If I don't hear them call my name, they might want to stay here. They might be happy here. I'm not going to make something leave. It doesn't want to leave. Yeah. You know, that's another way of creating a
Shane, I want to say thank you for having me on the show. I do apologize, but I got to step out, and we will be on the air tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern time with more of serial killers, and supernatural. Thanks, guys, for having me on.
Yeah. Blaine.
Thank you, Blaine, for coming on.
Blaine.
Yeah, it's like I said, I've had shaman classes for about 1.5 years, and I've dealt with Reiki and some stuff like that as well. So I understand to translate the difference between the good energy and the bad energy, and to be able to help the people that need it. I actually just had a case here Friday night that I had to go help somebody. They had an accident in a vehicle, and the person that they hit, it was a freak accident, and they kept showing up in their car. So I actually went there, got into the vehicle, and had them come sit in the vehicle with me. And we got out our Ovilus and started talking to them and stuff as well. And I both had them sit there and communicate with each other and break it down, you know, saying, hey, this was an accident. It wasn't intentional. She feels sorry. I know you feel bad, but you've got to be able to let go so you guys both can move on. And I think by the time I was done, they both got the closure they needed, and the atmosphere in that whole area just changed without having to do anything major. But I think the person was just kind of looking in up on them to make sure nothing else was going to happen to them. And they were pretty impressed on how we got that taken care of as well. So I thought that was a good deal. So there was also a little girl that was 10 years old that was involved with that has been going through some traumatic stuff as well. And I think it'll be better from here on out for sure. But yeah, I know Gwen hasn't said a lot here tonight. Everybody's been aimed at everything else here. what is one thing that you what is one thing that you would use your abilities for to help somebody with, if you could?
Me?
Yes.
I like to help people with troubles. Like I have a friend in particular, I won't call her name, and she's going through a lot. And I'm gonna cry because I'm thinking about her, but she needed us this week, and just that hug, you could see her lighting up.
Yep.
That's
what it's all about.
Yeah,
that's great when you got friends around that you could actually rely on and help each other out, especially.
Oh yeah, just giving her that hug and trying to push that bad off of her. That bad energy just helped her so much.
Like
Yeah.
So going back to you again, Gwen, before we close out the show, what is one thing you would recommend to any newcomers in the field of the paranormal or the supernatural?
Rely on people that have been in it a long time. Listen to them. Learn from them. Because so many people don't, and they get themselves in a little trouble. And that's not good. So rely on folks that's been there a while.
Miss Lee, what about you?
Love conquers all.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you've been through. It doesn't matter what pain you're carrying, what memories you're carrying. Love is always stronger, and it conquers everything.
Thomas?
I always tell people, when you get into this field, everything you do, like I said, is simple. It's all about intention.
Mm-hmm.
What you give is what you'll get back. So,
I
I think that's very important for people to know that.
I definitely agree. And one thing I will say out there as well, what you manifest, what you speak is what you put out and what comes back to you as well. But also to maintain balance and understanding is the key to a lot of things, to keep the balance. And if you don't keep balance, you are always going to chaos one way or another. Yeah. So balance is definitely the key.
Yes, it is.
I'm going to say this, guys. We're at the top of the hour. I appreciate all of you guys coming on tonight. I could probably make a show with each and every one of you individually because we could dig into so much more. And I think I probably will do that. I'll probably invite each one of you back individually and dig into certain aspects of things, because I know we all got certain abilities and gifts that we could all just learn from. And that would allow more people to ask questions and stuff like they did tonight, which was really good that everybody joined in tonight. And we got to answer a few as well. So, but as an individual basis, I will probably have you guys back on the show individually so we can dig deeper into each one of our traits and abilities so people can understand us a little more as well. And you guys do a great show. I hope you guys keep this up because it's really interesting on what you guys do. And I like to thank you guys for letting me join your little group as well and being a part of your guys' family. I appreciate that as well. And thanks,
you're an awesome guy.
Thanks, Gwen, for everything you've done.
I'm going to air this again on our channel after it finishes, just so everybody knows if you missed something.
And like I said, Gwen, thanks for helping me out a few weeks back. And I appreciate everything you've done for me as well and helping me get things going again. And I'm going to close out the show, guys. Is there anything you'd like to say before we go?
Well, maybe one thing I'll say, because we're talking about true crime and paranormal. In July, I do have we've had a Paracon in Connecticut for years. And this is the first year we're adding to it true crime, how they go together. And I think it's important that people know that true crime and paranormal are like peanut butter and jelly. You think about
they
it.
are.
Yes.
DeFeo killed his family. Now we have the Amityville house. The Basilica murder house. There was a murder there. It's haunted. Just like we're going to be talking about tomorrow night.
Lizzie Borden house.
The Lizzie Borden, but tomorrow, the house in New Orleans, Madame LaLaurie Mansion.
Yep.
what happened there, a crime.
That's a nasty mess.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So make sure you
And
tune in for
there's
that one.
so many souls still in captivity with that whole thing.
Yes,
Soul,
it is.
there's a soul market where these spirit. It's a whole thing. We'll get into that if you ever want to have me back.
True crime, supernatural.
Well, we're definitely going to have every one of you back. That's definitely for sure. Because I know me and you, Lee, we've got a lot in common with Reiki and some other stuff.
Yes.
We can dig into that side of
Thomas
things.
too.
And I know me and Gwen have a lot in common as well. And she's been co-host on my show here as well before, which I appreciate that as well. And we've got some things in common we can talk about. And I can definitely get in here with Thomas and pick his brain on a lot of things because he kind of thinks like I do. I seen one of his little things he posted on our chat, and I was like, I had to think twice of, do I really want to answer this? but I totally understand where he's coming from. So I think me and him are in the right frame of mind when it comes to thinking about stuff. So I think I
am the glorious weirdo. So
so we're all of us. All of us are.
I think definitely me and him can dig into certain things and go into some depth with stuff as well. And that's like I said, and even Blaine as well. To have you guys,
I'm also the keeper of the rabbit hole too. So
there you go.
Well, yeah, I like conspiracy theories too. Trust me, I dig down those as well. So we may end up having a show with some stuff like that. And like I said, me and Lee can have some on Reiki and energy work and stuff as well. And like I said, me and Gwen can have stuff going on as well too. And like I said, I like to thank each and every one of you for coming on tonight and having me be a part of you guys' team and your little family as well. I appreciate that very much. So I'm gonna close this out, guys. I'm gonna put you backstage, and then I'm gonna talk with you when I get back there. But I'm gonna close the show out here real quick.
All right,
and like I said, I like to thank everybody and thank you guys for showing up tonight. So here we go. I'm gonna put you guys back. Yes, that was Lee, Gwen, Thomas, and Blaine. Those guys do an amazing show. Go check them out tomorrow night when they're live on their podcast. They do a great job, and they really get into some detail about murders and supernatural and stuff like that. They're really interesting to watch. So definitely go check those guys out. I also like to thank each and every one of you for showing up tonight, asking questions, making some comments, asking questions to our guest as well. That's great. And I really appreciate all you guys who support the Eternal Ex-Wolfpack Paranormal and the team as well. We will be having investigations come up when it starts to get warmer. I am not going out in the cold. That's definitely for sure. We're going to be revisiting a few places like Steel Dam up in Rock Island, Illinois. We will definitely be going back up there, along with a few other places as well. So with that being said, we will let you go. And next week, we will have Miss Lynn Monet. She will be a returning guest, and we will be talking with her next week at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on Sunday on the Eternal Ex-Wolfpack Paranormal Podcast. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we will see you next week.